Okay, let's take a look at some options you have as either player in, concerning movement. And we're going to use Santa Ana as an example. Santa Ana is not an army, but in this case it's not a big deal. The Mexico unit can never move out of that fortress, but Santa Ana has all these units over here. We could see in that box. You can't discern exactly what they are, but that's neither here nor there for right now. So Santa Ana, as you see, needs at least a 1 card, which is the lowest card you can have. Here's a perfect one to use for Santa Ana because it's a blue number, which means the event is slanted to the US. So we'll play that card, discard it, and now Santa Ana can move. And the next thing you have to do is draw a action card. And let's just back off a little bit. An action card, you look at the 1, and that's a 0. And I'm just going to keep drawing until I get something a little more interesting. Oh, here's a good one. 7. So he's got 7 movement points. It's not an army. If he had an army, such as the army of Tejas or the army of Santa Ana, you would subtract 1 movement point when they move. So a little bit more difficult for them to get around, manage that large army. Okay, so he's got 7 movement points. So let's see where he can go. This is fairly straightforward. Every circle, whether it's a they call this not a transfer point, but hold on 1 second here. Yes, transit space are these small point circles, and you can possibly have an attrition point lost if you move through onto those transit spaces, and I'll show you how that works as we move. This does not add anything, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just going to stop there because I'll show you what happens with the attrition roll. I move through 1, 2, and 3 transit spaces. So if I roll a 3 or less, and he rolled a 1, so you would lose a 1 step during movement, and I'll take it off of a cavalry. Okay, so there's one possibility. Let's do another possibility. Pretend the US player was using this to move Kearney way up here. We'll make this a little more interesting. So Kearney's going to take his units, and we'll pretend that he got a 7 as well. We're not going to actually draw, but you draw an action card, look under the 1, just as Santa Ana did, and you get the number of movement points there. So he's got 7, and this time I'm going to spend movement points in order to gain control of spaces. And I'm also going to, well, we'll see where I end up. I'm not going to go out of my way to go over here, but these would be 2 movement points because of the rough road here. So I go 1, and then I'm going to spend an extra movement point to gain control of that. So that's 2 points. 3, same thing. So that's 4 to gain control of that. 5. And 6 for the flag. And then we'll go 7 here. Now at that point, Canales could make an attempt to intercept here. I'm not going to do any intercepting, but he could intercept when he moved into that spot. So this is an effective move for Kearney, the U.S. player, in this instance because they just gained control of 1, 2, 3 more spaces. They can't gain control of this space unless they spend an extra movement point. On another action, they could gain control of it by spending an ops card. But for right now, they gain those 3. So as of right now, this state needs 6 controls in order to gain control of the entire state. So they've got 5, and he would only need to do 1 more, and then they'd have control of Cahuilla. So that's another possibility for movement. And then the third possibility is to actually move into battle. And let's say that I'm not going to actually do the battle sequence, but I'll show you what happens if you make that attempt. So let's pretend we have a card we can play for Amphibious, which would be a 3. It's interesting with the Mexican player right now on the hand I dealt for the previous turn. There are no 3 cards. So Amphibious, in this case, could not actually do anything as far as movement is concerned. And that can get frustrating. That's why we need to move Santa Ana up. But let's say we had a 3 card. And then I would check on the action, and I would see a 7. So 7 movement points for Amphibious. He's got an army, which gives him 1 less movement point. He does have Arista with 2 combat units. Because it's an army, he can control those as well. So we've actually got 6, 7, 8 units total moving. And so with the -1, you get 6 movement points. Now if you notice down here, you can see the dashed line, which is going to be an extra movement point. So you can move, this is the only way you have battles, moving directly into an enemy occupied space. So Amphibious is going to move his army in, and that's going to cost 2 normally. Now, since he's so close, he's going to be able to, let me get the combat sheet. One of the big things to think about for combat is all the pluses and minuses on firepower determination and also efficiency die roll. And one biggie is what kind of attack are you going to do? So if you don't want to spend any extra movement points in that battle space, it would be a column of root attack, and you'd subtract 5 from the firepower. Hasty attack, you have to spend 1, and you get -3 on the firepower. Normal attack, you spend 2 movement points, and a pitched attack, you really want to aim for if you can, and then you don't have any penalty, basically. So if I spend 3 movement points, I will get a 0 modifier, so I'll get my full strength. So that would be 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. And there's no attrition for transit spaces. This was a heat turns, we found out earlier, so all of those other moves would have lost 1 step extra. So Santa Ana would have lost another step, and Kearney would have lost a step. And then also Amphibious Army loses a step for the heat. And then the only other thing, or the other option would be to, if this was empty with no enemy units, Amphibious could move into here, spend movement point to destroy the field works, and then keep moving. And that's really the options you have as far as movement are concerned. I'm not going to touch on amphibious attacks, but they're not they're not that difficult if you take a look at the rules for amphibious assault. And what you need to spend, you'll need to have a 4 card to do that. And it will have to be one of these ship sites that you see. So that's movement in Halls of Montezuma.